Hello and welcome to Track by Track Reviews. My name is Rory Sullivan and I'm in today to talk about an album called Hither Thither by an Irish band called O Emperor. Like I said, they're from Ireland. They're a five-piece band and they started mostly playing in pubs for about 10 years. They've been together and they started playing in pubs, just doing covers, whatever they could really do to make money, but it wasn't long before they grew a desire to create something of their own. And the product of that desire, 11 great tracks with inspiration from the Beatles, Pink Floyd, and I hear a little bit of Coldplay, Radiohead, U2 in there as well. And I figure most of you probably haven't heard of this band, and that's understandable, neither had I. It's all thanks to one of my subscribers, Scoob. If you're out there, thanks a lot. He's friends with the band, and he hopped on board Track by Track Reviews after he saw my Villagers review. So thanks a lot, Scoob. I'm really glad I could get this album because I like it a lot. And this was kind of a hard album to get a hold of. I had to order it from Ireland, so I have the package somewhere. And it says, like, if address cannot be found, send back to Dublin, Ireland. It was kind of cool. But anyway, let's go track by track and check this baby out. The first song on the album, Don Quixote, starts the album off with a bang. It starts off with sort of twangy rock guitar part and quickly transitions into this like Coldplay Parachutes era jam. And I have to say the drums are really good, not in like an in-your-face Keith Moon sort of way, but in a subtle way. They're very good. There's even more great guitar towards the end and also some great strings, and I really have to applaud them combining this head-bobbing rock song with beauty. The guitar and vocal melody during the chorus is hypnotic, and I really can't think of a better song on this album to start this album off. The next song on the album, Poe, is one of the more popular songs on the album, and deservedly so. It's very much along the lines of Don Quixote, and one thing worth mentioning about this band is that all five members can sing. They do sing, and they're very good singers, and that really makes for some great harmonies at times. And the great thing about this song is that it gets more intense and more intense as the song goes on. There's some really interesting percussion towards the end, about the last minute or so, and pretty much by the end, the guitars are screaming. The next song on the album, Sedalia, is one of my favorites. I'm actually going to let you hear a little clip of it in a little bit. But it slows things down, but definitely you don't lose any interest. They definitely show off their harmonies even more on this track, and also the songwriting ability. I'm not sure who the main songwriter is, but he did a great job with this song. Some of the lyrics, one that jumped out at me is, "Money is a good preoccupation," and also the opening line, "You were the brains of the operation, I was the brawn, so I swallowed my tongue." Just a great line. I hear a lot of Beatles in this song, particularly towards the end. I sort of hear Paul and Linda McCartney's song Uncle Albert / Admiral Halsey. And this for me is just easily one of the strongest songs on the album. I mean, every part of it is top-notch. The guitars sound great, the bass guitar sounds great, the piano's great, the vocals are great, the harmonies are great, the lyrics are great. What more can you ask for? It's just a fantastic song.
Footsteps don't trip like chest is getting tight, and I think you know what I mean. That was your way, you'd always know, but no, you'd never say.
The next song on the album, Talon Air, I always kind of tend to forget about, and I'm not sure why, because it's not a bad song. It's definitely a different mood from the last three tracks. It's much creepier and darker, and the vocals and piano are really some of the highlights for me. There's also a little bit of experimentation here. The drums sound kind of weird. I can't really explain what it is, and towards the end there's like sort of a freak out jam. It's not so experimental that it like rolls off the tracks, which is good for this kind of music. I feel like that would be kind of out of place. And while this isn't one of my favorite songs on the album, it's still very good. The next song, Heisenberg, on the other hand, it might be my favorite song on the album. There's no other song on the album that sounds quite like this song does. His vocals sound different, and it's just him and the piano, and there's also some backing vocals to provide harmony. It's so amazingly beautiful, and I can only say it's amazing so many times, so I'm just going to let you hear the song.
Opposites can't mean anything to me. Where I'm going now. Find me somewhere in between. Careful what you lean on these days, you never can tell. Drawing the lines between not so bad and not too well. Opposites draw you, just like you draw them to you, my friend.
The next song on the album, Don't Mind Me, changes the mood pretty damn quick. This is just a nice, chill, blissed out tune, and it's totally different from Heisenberg. The chilled out slide guitar adds even more to the bright mood of this song, and according to the lyrics, even Beelzebub smiles on you now. There's also some great guitar accompanied by some upbeat whistling, so even more adding to the happy mood of this song. This song is not one of my favorites, but it's definitely the happiest, and it's memorable, and there you go. The next song on the album, Catch 22, is another song that I tend to forget about when I think about this album, and I'm not sure why. It's definitely a very good song. It has some really bright, shining moments, like at 1:45 there's a quick melody change, and the vocals and piano working together sounds absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the prettiest moments on the album. The song also has a very Villagers feel to it, and while it's not the first song that comes to mind when I think of this album, it's still a very beautiful track. The next song, December, is probably my least favorite song on the album, and it's not a bad song. It just kind of seems to repeat the formula that songs like Poe and Talondair have, where it just starts off quiet and the chorus gets more and more intense as the song goes on. The melodies are good, I'm just not able to get into this song as much as I am those tracks, Poe and Talondair. The next song, To the Sea, reminds me a lot of Pink Floyd when those vocals come in. There's a part near the middle of the song where the harmonies get really pretty, and then shortly after get really gloomy. I'd say the highlight of this song is probably the vocals. I mean, the harmonies just sound really good, and the structure is also pretty different from the other songs on the album. It doesn't have a chorus. It doesn't really have like one particular hook throughout the song. It's like several different hooks. So it's an interesting song. It's not one of my favorites, but yeah, it's interesting. Different, but I like it. The next song, All Worked Out, starts off with the line, "I don't want to die, seems to be so near," which is a pretty dark way to start off a song. Then this sort of marching snare drum part comes in, and this song just has a great build to it. Lyrically, it's kind of the same couple lines, just repeated, but the guitar just gets better and heavier as the song goes on. And there's also, which kind of separates this from several other songs on the album that build slowly, there's some really great horns towards the end that remind me a lot of Sufjan Stevens, and also another horn part with it that reminds me of the Radiohead's The National Anthem, just sort of chaotic and crazy. The last song on the album, The Fat Lady Sings, starts off with some really interesting sounding vocals. They sound sort of whispery and much different than the other songs on this album. And then it's just him piano, and then you hear this really good drum fill, and the rest of the band follows suit and comes in. I really can't say enough about how intense the vocals are on this track. It's just goosebumps. I really can't explain it, so I'm going to play it. This is The Fat Lady Sings.
Please wake me and hold and I will strong. I built this house, you know it fell down. So what have I found? So what have I found?
So that's the album, and overall, Oh Emperor, if you are in fact watching this video, holy shit, this does not sound like a rookie album. I mean, it doesn't sound like a debut at all. I mean, I know you guys have been together for 10 years, but Jesus, you guys sound like you're 4 or 5 albums into your discography, and this is your first album. I think that's totally amazing. I mean, you guys, your harmonies. I'm gonna stop talking directly to Oh Emperor. The harmonies on this album are awesome. I mean, the entire band can sing. There's not many bands that can do that. I know they said they took influence from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I'm not gonna say they're up there, because they're not. I don't know if anyone's got as good harmonies as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, but all 5 of these guys can sing and play their instruments top notch. This band has got so much potential for the future. I will say that some of the songs did sound a little similar. The formulas got a little overused, starts quiet, ends loud. But damn, Heisenberg, Fat Lady Sings, Don Quixote, Poe, there's so many good songs on this album, and it's just salad. Scoob, can't thank you enough for suggesting this album. That's why I'm so glad I started this channel. If I hadn't started this channel, I never would have found out about Oh Emperor, and that's just gives me the incentive to keep going, and maybe I'll find out about more cool stuff, and I can tell anybody who watches my videos about these bands. And I just love to get the word out about a band like this that should be huge. I mean, this sounds like a band that could be like the next big band. And I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10, and I highly look forward to their next effort, and I highly suggest this album. So anyone, if you can get your hands on it, I'll leave links to where you can find the album, and I definitely suggest checking it out. Scoob and Oh Emperor, I would like to thank for the music clips. So yeah, can't thank you guys enough, and keep making good music. Scoob, keep putting the word out, and I'll do likewise. So once again, the album is Hither Thither by the band Oh Emperor, and I'm Rory Sullivan. See you next week with track-by-track reviews. Almost fucked that up.